I was upstairs and I could hear him using the sucky blowy thing or whatever it's called. And
Were you in the bathroom, Tony, or in the backyard?
No, I was outside.
Oh, that's even worse, I think. Live from the D&D studios in downtown Boston, it's showtime. Welcome to Hey, Did You Ever See That Movie? I'm your hostess, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely little co-host, Lynn.
What's in the box?
That chick's head. And joining us again, the podcaster with 1,000 potions, Mikki.
you're no messiah. You're a movie of the week. You're a fucking t-shirt.
Speaking of t-shirts. And last but not least, the podcaster packing heat, Tony 2.0.
Wait, how is this legal? Legal, illegal, these terms don't apply.
This week we will be discussing the 1995 crime horror movie, Se7en, written by David Fincher and Andrew Kevin Walker, directed by David Fincher, starring Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Kevin Spacey. As always, if you have not seen the movie, go watch it because this contains spoilers. Then come back and listen to the podcast. Take a minute. Like, subscribe, and share if you are listening on YouTube. And if you're listening on Apple, please leave us a 5-star review and comment. It helps. Check out our merch store. We got merch, t-shirts, and coffee mugs. You can help us with the costs of putting this fine podcast together by going over to vvr.printify, printify.me, all in lowercase. There you will find a very jazzy looking little coffee mug with Hey, Did You Ever See That Movie on it? And we're working on some cool new t-shirts, and we do have the matching t-shirt for the coffee mug if you want to look like a lunatic in public. So there you go.
Des, I'm sorry, can you say that address one more time? I was trying to write it down because I'd like to buy a shirt and I don't know it.
Well, you should get the Reservoir Dogs version since you did come up with the concept.
I know that's the problem, but I didn't know where to go because I'm mentally disabled.
Okay, so for the mentally disabled out there, we're at vvr.printify, printify.me.
Got it.
That is all in lowercase. So go, yes, thank you. Go over there, get your t-shirt, get your coffee mug. We've actually got a really awesome new spooky Halloween design that will be coming out for both Hey, Did You Ever See That Movie and Violent Vinyl Radio. So there you go. And like I was saying, the prints are going to get sharper, brighter, better. I mean, it's a learning curve. I think that this shirt that I'm peddling to you right now, like a snake oil salesman, the Reservoir Dogs design is probably going to be pretty tight. So go get yourself one of those right now. Lynn, let's head over to the mailbag. What do you got?
All right. So our listener, Pamela, wrote in about the episode we did reviewing Hall Pass. And she mentioned that it was strange that Des had an inability to handle a therapist with a messy desk, but he thought that he was somehow going to just have sex with Diarrhea Girl. Just wasn't going to happen, right? Okay.
It's the little things. It's the little things that mean so much.
Also, our listener Radio had replied to our review of The Shining, and he said he hated Dr. Sleep after watching The Shining. Can you really do part 2 for The Shining? The answer, according to Radio, is no. He also requested a movie from us, and we will reveal what that is at the end of this podcast, so stay tuned.
Yeah, so we will be doing that movie on the next Dysfunctional Date Night with Tony 2.0 and the great Mikki. So you'll be looking forward to that. Okay, next movie we will be reviewing will be with original flavor Tony, and that will be Deep Rising. So we're keeping it in the ocean. We did Deep Blue Sea with him last time, and he said that he thought we needed to do a good ocean movie. So Deep Rising will be the next episode. box office with a budget of $30 million and a box office gross of $327.3 million. This was a fucking boner for the studio. This was a huge.
Is that the technical term?
That is in Hollywood, that's the technical term.
It was a boner, dude. Totally.
It was a boner. Yeah, so let's do some opening thoughts on this one. I'll get us started. So Se7en, I never saw it. I was saying to Tony before the show, I've never seen this fucking movie. I couldn't believe it. So I thought I've done this before on the show just a couple of times. I thought it would be fun to write my review as I was watching it and take you on my thought process as it unfolded, kind of like in real time. So that's kind of how I wrote this one up. I was on the case with Mills and Somerset. It was like the three of us. We like the Hardy Boys, the three of us. And I had so much fun trying to solve this case. The question is, did I? Let's find out. Tony, did you ever see a movie before preparing for the podcast?
Yeah, it was my call because it is a film that is not one you forget. How about that? It's not a flash in the pans type movie. It's pretty memorable. And it was the kind of thing where we were talking prior to recording. I had watched it not in the theater, but late at night. I had pulled a double. I'd had a couple of drinks, and I was just flipping through the channels, and it came on, and I was riveted for the entire film. I wasn't at my 100% best, but it captivated me, and I've enjoyed it ever since.
Mikki.
I had, yes, several times. I saw this at the theater a couple times. And by the way, I would just like to throw in that I can't believe you had never seen this. And I never want to hear a comment about Karate Kid again, that I'd never seen Karate Kid.
Good point.
Mick, we have to do that to you, okay? It's a rule here on the show. We have
write
to
a passage at this point.
That's right.
Yeah. But yes, I had seen it several times.
Okay. And Delin, had you ever seen this movie before preparing for the podcast?
Yeah. I had seen it several times, was very familiar with it. It was kind of popular in my circle back when it came out, especially because the soundtrack, like I don't even talk about the soundtrack other than at the very beginning, but 9 Inch Nails, David Bowie, Filter, like you have some really cool music in here that bookend what turns out to be a fantastic movie. So yeah, I had seen it before, and yeah, this
movie for me is right on the same level. I mean, not to spoil the podcast, as like Usual Suspects. I mean, it's fucking really good. It's really good, but we'll get there. How good is it? I guess that's the question.
It's so good that Des was sitting in the other room screaming at me going, is it this? Is it this? Is this what's happening? Is this where it's going? And I was going, just sit there and watch it. Just you're ruining. I'm not going to tell you what's happening. Just sit out there and watch it. I think it's this. I think it's this.
Okay. Quiet down, Rusty. Let me give you
Rusty James.
Oh, we got to do Rumblefish. Okay, synopsis. Let me give you guys a synopsis. We'll get this thing kicked off. 2 detectives, a rookie and a veteran, hunt a serial killer who uses 7 deadly sins as his motive. There you go, Lynn.
Short, sweet, and to the point. That's why I love you, kid.
That's it.
Soon to retire, Detective Lieutenant William Somerset is partnered with the short-tempered but idealistic Detective David Mills, who is recently transferred to a city where the only thing more abundant than the rain is the crime. Somerset has 7 days to go before his retirement. Despite his looming retirement, Somerset and Mills get called out to the scene of an unexplained death. An overweight shut-in has died into his plate of spaghetti. Despite looking like an accidental death on first glance, when Somerset notices that the man's hands and feet are bound, they realize they have a murder on their hands. So I want to talk first about the bare bone version of 9 Inch Nails Closer to start the movie. It was just recognizable enough as I'm listening to it. I'm like, is that Closer? Like, because I had forgotten. I hadn't seen this in many years. I'm going, is that Closer? I don't remember. That sounds like 9 Inch Nails, until you get the snippet, of course, right before the movie starts. I thought it was such clever use of a popular song because you pull it down. It's so bare bones. It's the song, but it's not. I also love how you know exactly who Somerset is within a few moments of being in his home. So Spartan, so everything in its place. Like, this is just this dude back to front. His suit is just so, everything is just so. He's so precise. The people he works with hate him because he's always asking questions instead of just accepting a crime on face value. And it immediately grates against the kind of person Mills is as soon as they meet. So you get that immediate antagonistic energy between the two of them.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It was almost like you were reading my notes.
It was almost like you read my notes.
Read the notes first. So in this opening scene, like you said, we see Detective Somerset getting ready to go to work. And, the director makes a point of showing us that he is very meticulous. He's adjusting his tie just perfectly in the mirror. He adjusts, we get a shot of the table. He's got his wallet, his pen, his switchblade. They're like set up like they've been measured out perfectly. And then we're going to get a shot of him before we leave. He's looking, and the camera kind of pans around, and you get a look at the bed. And the bed has been made like turn down service. Like it's folded tight. There's the perfect crease, the blanket, the sheet. Like this guy is fucking, like Dylan said, he is fucking dotting his I's and crossing his T's in life. Mikki, what were you getting off the very opening scene?
I agree with Dylan, like that. And the music was amazing. And I think this is one of the first, if not the first movie of kind of that era to use kind of that disturbing, distorted intro music with the scratches and the weird writing and the different snippets of the disturbing images. I think that was like the first one of that whole kind of genre to do that. I could be wrong. That may be a Tony question, a Tony original flavor question, but I'm not sure. And it really sets the tone when, and this is also back when Gwyneth was like the it girl. She had done like all the movies that I don't even know what she did, but she was kind of like the it, the new.
I think this was around Pride and Prejudice and all
that
other stuff.
Thank you. Yes. And there's like one that she did with like a Shakespeare.
Oh yeah, Shakespeare in Love.
Yeah. But I think also it like between the music and it's so atmospheric. It really sets the tone with the rain and the crappy weather, the dark interiors throughout the whole movie. That whole first, intro and the first scene really set the tone for the whole movie to me. I thought it was really well done. And also too, like, what's he going to do when he retires? Because clearly he's a little bit lonely. He's very stoic. They don't really talk about it, but it did make me wonder, what's this guy actually going to do when he retires? Because he doesn't look like he has anything else.
Yeah, I think it hints to his precision. He is probably ex-military. He's a very measured man. It's evident, and it's classic. Fincher does a great job of highlighting some of the things that are involved in police work. Obviously, you don't become murder police because you're anything but the top of the pops. This guy is where he is because of his nature. You know what I mean? He does not look at anything at face value. He's always looking for something underneath the surface. And he's obviously sharp. He's not a dullard. He's a quick study. And I think he's jealous. You said hated by other cops. They're jealous because they don't get him, right?
Yeah.
So they're not on the same level. As the bad joke goes in Bart Simpson, do you have to have straight A's to be the police? No, of course not. But then again, if you want to further your career, you need to go on and educate yourself and do well at what you do. You can't just, you see it later too. Mills is a young buck and he just can't focus. So he starts breaking the patrolman's ass, and Somerset just basically says, shut up and sit down. He doesn't say it in that way because that's not his style, but he's a controlling guy because he moderates everything in his life. So yeah, he's a great character. He's a great character.
Tony, I couldn't agree more. I felt envy in those scenes, more than hate. It felt like envy. With good reason. So next we meet David Mills. First thing I noticed was the way the scene outside was shot from down below. Did you notice that? The camera was like looking up at the actors almost from street level. I thought it looked really great. Second, Somerset says to Mills, I want you to observe for the next 7 days. It's like he's telling them, he's like, and we'll get into this about the dynamic between these two. You've got the old lion on his way out and the young lion that's there to learn, but thinks that he is there to teach. They're standing in front of a store with the number 740 written on the red window. there's so many sevens in this. I'm so intrigued already. It's amazing.
Well, that's part of the reason why they shot it from the ground up, because as they walk, they're all 7 numbers. So it's like, 740, 732, 7, so that you just can 7. He's got 7 days before he retires. Yeah. It's, they're really cutting home with the number 7 as often as they can.
Yeah. I like the way this movie looked though. The camera angles, the lighting, everything is just beautiful.
It was very atmospheric. They really set the tone with the weather and everything in the rain. And I think they also did a really good job of showing the difference between Mills and Somerset. He's kind of juvenile and cocky and brash and very modern compared to Somerset. But it did remind me a little bit of Blade Runner, just the constant rain, the constant dark. It just made you feel just kind of
oppressive.
Yeah, very just dark and rainy. And while I love that weather, it just really, really set the tone for the whole movie of how just disturbing and dark, I guess, is the best word for me to describe it, is dark.
Yeah, Mikki, in my notes, I had The Matrix, but I get you with the Blade Runner comparison.
Yeah.
Same idea. It's always raining, these green filters. It's dark, it's gloomy, and I also love the rain. Oh, yeah. Give me a nice rainy day any day of the week.
Yep.
What's really interesting too is I was very much on the lookout for when the rain broke, like different places that the rain broke. And it really doesn't, for most of this movie until the very end, you're in the rain. But there's a one scene where they're in the car and they're talking about using their guns. Did you ever shoot anybody? Blah, blah, blah. And Mills is trying to remember the name of the guy that took the shot and died. And the sun comes blasting through the window next to his face as he's trying to remember the guy's name. And that's the only time. Other than that, it's just rain until the very end of the movie.
Right. Or when they leave town. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
It's almost like they left the rain behind when they go out into the desert there.
Yeah. Tony, what'd you think of the meeting between the two?
Fincher is great at what he does. He's very visually striking. It's not just rain though. It's a fucking downpour all the time. If you look at the cars, the windshield wipers are on as high as they'll go, and it is just a bucket of water coming down. So, even when he's chasing the suspect, John Doe, and it's not just raining, it's a fucking downpour.
Yeah.
Because these guys are just soaked, to the skin. But he did it in The Game, he did it in Fight Club, all of his films, Zodiac. What else did he do? Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. He loves that dark, dank, seedy kind of underbelly of the town. And, Mikki and I were talking, where do you think it is? And I know that the writer, Andrew Walker, moved from Pennsylvania into New York City. And he was very off-put by New York because he moved there in the 80s when they had a huge crime wave and it was a problem. And funny part is the guy was working at Tower Records when he wrote the film. And it was just basically his experiences of New York City and how, just a shit show it was. Right. Back when 42nd Street, you didn't want to walk down there because it just wasn't a nice place to be. It was a rough and tumble area. And you can definitely see the parameters in the film, but it's the idea that Fincher does a great job with these people to just, put them in places. And, even the props they use. All the cars are older than the actual film is shot. The garbage truck where John Doe whacks Mills is like a 1965 Ford garbage truck. I don't even know where they got the damn thing, but it's grimy and greasy. And it's just, he's worked on this. You know what I mean? He's been sitting up late at night putting this shit together.
I was telling Tony when we were watching it, it reminded me of almost how they do Gotham and Batman. You never really know.
Mikki, you nailed it with the Gotham thing. This movie could span anywhere from the 70s, 80s, 90s. And, the Gotham things could be anywhere from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, So these timeless cities, I love that. Had either of you guys seen 12 Monkeys?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So I felt like either Brad Pitt was either borrowing from that movie or that movie borrowed from this movie because he had those same kind of tics and mannerisms that kind of he was doing the twitch and the finger movements and he really was giving me the 12 Monkey vibe during this.
Yeah, I think this movie really put Brad Pitt in a different category as an actor because, he
Yeah.
was just a pretty face and now
Yep.
he's doing a dramatic role and it kind of changed his career because this film came out in 1995. So, he's still a young guy and
yeah.
he starts to get a lot more serious roles, not just, the love interest in something, in a rom-com or whatever. So,
Right.
it's a big departure for him and he does a good job. He's that bravado guy where he's got to show everybody who he is.
All right. So, like the Lynn said, we got that 9 Inch Nails scene. Like Mikki said, it was fucking great, man. Just stylistically beautiful. You recognize the song. It's familiar. You don't know where you know it from, but it just feels familiar. And then at the end, just like in the movie, you're going to get the payoff. It's fucking 9 Inch Nails. And you're like, I knew it was something like that. So we see Monday stamped on the screen, very shining, right? Leads me to believe I'm about to see 7 consecutive days, which we do. We get this scene of David getting ready for work. And it's the exact opposite of the scene of Detective Somerset getting ready for work. It's almost the same scene, shot for shot, only we're getting different images. David is a friggin' mess. Everything is wrinkled. His tie is on crooked. What a stark contrast between the two characters, leading me to believe that they will also have wildly different styles of police work, which is what we're going to get if you even want to call Mills a detective. I mean, he barely is a detective in this movie. He's fucking terrible. This case is never getting solved if he's the lead detective. It's just not happening. Also, wife Tracy, we're going to meet her in the morning. She removes some junk from David's eye with her dirty nighttime finger. That's how you get pink eye. What if she had a fucking an itchy ass all night and didn't know it? She was scratching in her sleep. Then she sticks that puppy into your fucking eye. Next thing you know, you got pink eye. You got Vaseline eye. Mikki, what do you think?
Does this kind of shit keep you up at night?
It does.
Yeah, you gotta see somebody about that, okay, bro?
I literally do not like the wind touching my face. I don't want my face touched.
Okay, note to the
Wow.
listeners.
Okay.
Very well.
Mikki.
I didn't get as offended at the crusty eye thing as you did, but I think you're right. Like we were watching the movie the other night, and Tony actually had pointed out he made fun of it, but he's like, he already has his ties already tied. He just pulls them off the hanger because he can't tie a tie.
Because he doesn't know how to tie a tie.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, he's just he's so juvenile and cocky and brash and and Somerset's like, hey, it's just, there's such a difference, and you can tell this kid's a shit show. He's cocky, he wants to prove himself, he wants to make a name for himself, he wants the action, wants the action, and he has no idea he's about to get it.
Yep.
And that tie has the basketball hoops on it and stuff. It's like, that's like a 7th grader's tie. Like, do you still have that left over from school? Like,
even in the way Somerset wears his clothes, he's got a tie with a vest, with a jacket, with an overcoat, with a hat.
Yep.
And in most of the scenes, he doesn't even disrobe until we get into Mill's apartment. He doesn't even take his coat off anywhere. You know what I mean? It's the kind of thing where he's just proper. And Mills is just, he looks like he slept in the shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally. So finally we get to the crime scene, our first crime scene. And my first thought was Fincher's sets are absolutely amazing. This movie is beautiful. Like, I could not fucking believe how fucking, I don't even know how to explain it. It's not real world. It's just hyper weird.
like a parallel universe.
Yeah. This apartment is so fucking nasty. The way Fincher uses light is so spooky. It was giving me the Matrix vibes. Like, this felt like it had the budget of the Matrix. Like, it just felt really, really well done to me. And finally, we see David here. He's jumping to conclusions. It's a heart attack. Then he starts running down his theory of what happened when he has absolutely no idea what's happened. And everything he's fucking spewing out is wrong. Every theory. Well, at the same time, we see Somerset quietly gathering facts before ultimately sending David out with the beat cops. Go out with the beat cops. Fucking, make sure, talk to the women in the neighborhood, the old ladies that are fucking worried about what happened. He's offended, but he leaves. And once they get back in the car, again, like Mikki was saying, he's brash, he's young, he's trying to impress Somerset with his past accomplishments, which, I'm sure he's trumping up. And he asked Somerset, did you read the file? And Somerset says, no. It's fucking great. I'm completely invested.
So the reactions to the smell are real because that was all real food and they put it out days beforehand and that set just sat closed in the heat. And there's a lot of real bugs. There's a lot of real disgusting rotting food and like all the faces that they're making. It's for real because it stank in there like crazy. And God bless this actor who plays the heavy set dead man because holy shit. Can you imagine having to sit there with the bugs crawling all over you and everything? No, thank you.
Yeah, by the way, while he's got no lines, obviously, because he's deceased, he is given a credit in the film, which is technically not a Screen Actors Guild requirement. Because if you don't speak, you don't have a part, you don't need to be acknowledged in a movie.
That scene, again, I think it set the tone for the rest of the sins. And I just remember the first time I saw that being so grossed out when Mills sticks his head out of the table into the bucket, like, woo, like that even turned my stomach the other night. Do you know what I mean? Because like, it's just gnarly. Someone ties your hands and feet together and basically shoves your face. And like, I'm just thinking he probably couldn't breathe. So he's eating and trying to breathe and he's probably, like aspirating on whatever he's eating. You know what I mean? Just what a horrible way to go. What a horrible way to go.
All right. Mills is called to another murder, this time of a lawyer that was forced to cut a pound of flesh from his body with the word greed splashed across the floor in blood. Somerset is finishing his report on the overweight man's death when the captain gives him some plastic pieces found in the man's stomach. Curious, Somerset returns to the man's house and realizes a hidden word behind the fridge, gluttony. Alarmed, Somerset returns to Mills and tells him that these cases are linked, but he doesn't want to participate in this investigation. He's on his way out the door. He's got a foot out the door already. He does not want to deal with this. Despite his reluctance to get involved, when Mills's wife, Tracy, invites him to dinner, he does take her up on it and spends time bonding with the young couple. So I appreciate this small bit of the Mills home life we get here. This movie is so dark, both literally and figuratively. The little bits of levity we get here, this, laughing about the subway and stuff like that, gives you a moment to breathe. You also get to see a little bit about what David's like at home, like rolling around on the floor with the dogs and stuff like that. But back to the murder, these little puzzle pieces that are being doled out, the little plastic pieces, now the gluttony, and then the greed, and the picture of the woman with the blood on her eyes and all this. This is putting you on edge, and it's getting you to start doing that thing where you try to connect the dots. And I love that in a movie because they're doling out little pieces. They're giving us little breadcrumbs and waiting to see if we can put the breadcrumbs together correctly.
Yeah, it's so engaging. It had me like from the start. This was like, there was no looking at the phone. There was no looking away. I was fully committed. I did not want to miss one detail. Like I said at the beginning, I was on the case with fucking Mills and Somerset. I was trying to, get the end before it came, and we'll find out if I did. So next we get the scene in the captain's office. Of course, office 704. They're going to stick to the sevens, which I loved. And it's backwards because we're seeing it from the inside. So really cool. And then we get the great R. Lee Ermey, best known for his part in Full Metal Jacket as Sergeant Gunnery.
Gunnery
Hartman.
Sergeant.
Yeah, exactly. So Hartman, if you guys remember that, what a fucking role he had there. I didn't like him as much in this role, but I thought he was great in that role.
Yeah, he was underutilized here a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he feels so military to me, not so much like a captain.
If you can imagine, R. Lee Ermey, not an actor, hasn't taken a class, never studied acting, doesn't really know this. He was the advisor on the film, and they wound up giving him the job because Kubrick loved him and said, "You were my guy. You did this shit. You were a DI. You know how to do this. Just be you." Right. So he's got a super advantage over an actor who they brought in an actor. I can't remember who it was, but they brought in somebody and basically told him, pack your shit. You're done. I want to bring in a real guy. So R. Lee Ermey kind of falls into the work, but he's in a paramilitary environment and police. It fits. My thing too is he's great because he's the classic passive aggressive boss. Well, you do what you want, Somerset. Figure it out. Kind of like saying, fuck you. I ain't getting on the hook for this shit. If I make the calls and shit goes wrong, it's not going to work out for me. So I'll put it on you. You've only got 7 days left. If you fuck this up, it's It's your problem, son.
The best scene with him is when he picks up the phone. He goes, "This isn't even my desk," and he just slams it shut.
Oh, it's so
again.
good. It's so good. Well, that was the same thing that happened in Beverly Hills Cop. The captain, Axel Foley's captain, never acted a day in his life. He was a consultant, and he was actually a homicide detective. And he was, they just loved him. And they're like, we're going to get you a few lessons and you're just going to do it. And, he hung around for 4 movies, whatever it was. So
Right.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah, they did a really good job in the limited script writing about knowing cop culture, if you will. The ball busting when they go into that first murder scene and the patrolman says, "I didn't touch nothing, blah, blah, blah. Here's the lay of the land." And Mills starts cracking on this guy like he fucked something up. And Somerset looks at him and says, "What is the point of your conversation? Like, you are ridiculous. Shut the fuck up. He told you what you need to know. Now go do your job. Do not break this guy's balls. He's not doing anything wrong." And
Yeah.
Mills is like, he's a little kind of man, if you will. And it's like, dude, just because you're a detective, and then you see it with the SWAT guys later, where when they make the entry, they're like, they don't refer to them as detectives or hey you, they call them dicks the whole time. Dicks up, right? It's kind of like saying that's all you are to me. You're a dick. And there is a lot of that, but it's the idea that, hey, you're on the same team. You got to work together, man. So they do a really good job of portraying the hard realism of it.
I agree with you. I like the way, I remember seeing the movie in the theater and the first thing I thought of was, what do the dogs do all day in that apartment?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a tiny-ish apartment for 3 larger, clearly high energy dogs.
That shakes every 10 minutes.
Right. And, he's always gone. So she's the only one that can, take him out or whatever. But anyway, but no, I do like that they show that, because they show that Mills does have kind of like a soft side, a goofy side. Like, he loves his dogs and he loves his wife. But I love throughout the whole movie that they're even, granted by the end of the movie, it's only been a week or whatever, but like they're always showing the contrast between the two.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Yeah. It's even a little jab at Mills with the apartment. If you're such a great detective genius, how come you couldn't figure out that every time the L train goes by, your entire apartment looks like it's in an earthquake?
I think that's the point. He's not a good detective.
Well, yeah, but it's also the idea that if in Somerset's apartment, although it is pristine, it's loud, right? You can hear the conversations, even with his jazz on, from the neighbor. And it's just big city life. That's just what you go through when you live in any great metropolis. You have to take pros and cons regardless. It doesn't matter how old or how new or nice your building is. There's always a good and a bad to it. Yeah.
So in that office, we see the fallout between Somerset and Mills, and they're going to part ways, fuck you, guy, get the fuck out of here. I don't need you. I can do this on my own, basically. And, Captain has no confidence in Mills at all, but then we get, 6 days left, which brings on Tuesday. We're going to get a close up of a newspaper to the newsstand, basically just saying, high-end defense attorney found dead. So we know there's been another murder. We see the district attorney doing a press conference, and we have our very best man on the case. That's what the district attorney is saying. We've got our very best man on the case. But what we get is David, who we already know is not the very best man on the case, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's moving through the fucking crime scene like a bull in a fucking china shop.
What I like is that clearly now they don't know that it's related yet. I think Brad Pitt did a great job in this. And I think that they did a really good job of showing that although he's eager and, enthusiastic and wants to do a good job and wants to, solve the case, he's too cocky, and I keep saying that, but he really is. He's very cocky. He's
too green.
Yeah. And like, I think he's so eager. He's like that, person that just wants to be your friend so badly you can't stand them because they get annoying. Do you know what I mean? Like, just back the fuck up, stop, look, and listen. Do you know what I mean?
He's just a bull in a china shop. Everywhere he turns, he's breaking things.
Yeah.
He's not,
you
know what I mean? He just doesn't know what to do. And unfortunately, he's got the personality where he thinks that that's the solution. Whenever there's a problem, it's more power. That's the answer to all his problems. And it's like, no, dude, it's the complete opposite. Slow down, think, calculate, use your brain. Don't hit the gas.
Yeah, he's also hyper good looking too. So you figure a guy like this is always going to have people, kissing his ass and, oh, great, blah, blah. And fucking Somerset's just not impressed with his charisma. Tony, what did you think about him moving around this crime scene?
So he's got intentions, which are solid, but
he's lacking the ability. He's lacking the skills.
He has no, basics. And I think it's the idea too that there's a little bit of suspension of belief because they intimate the concept that he transferred to this department from another department, which is damn near impossible to become a detective, let's just say in New York City, without having any patrol experience in New York City. You know what I mean? You would have to earn your way back up. You can go from Poughkeepsie to the city. The problem is that you absolutely have to, earn your stripes. You're going to start as a patrolman and you're going to work your way up. You can't kind of just lateral one to the other.
I think too that they kind of give the indication that wherever he transferred from, wherever upstate was, he was maybe a big fish in a small pond and kind of, like a super cop there. And that's why he thought he could just come down here and be the same way. And he's not realizing that, I can't do that here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good observation. So next we see Captain enter Somerset's office, again, room 714, right? To fill him in on the defense attorney's murder. In this scene, I got a little confused. It was really interesting. So Somerset describes an attack that just happened a day or two before, where a man walking his dog was, assaulted and had both of his eyes stabbed out. And we just saw a picture of the attorney's wife with blood around both eyes. And I was trying to put that together, like if that would mean something. But I don't think it ever really meant anything.
I think it was just an example of the violence that he has kind of had enough of.
Yeah, I thought it was just maybe it was kind of a coincidence there. But this is where the movie really starts getting good. So Somerset goes back to the first crime scene for another look. And this is where the movie just hits full power. He finds the clue behind the fridge, which leads us to Somerset's hypothesis that this is a serial killer and that this will play out man's 7 deadly sins before he's done. And I was just like, boing. I loved this concept. I thought this was great. I love this scene because, one, it exposes David for the underqualified rookie he is to handle this case. And secondly, it's just an awesome plot twist. But something that raises a red flag is Somerset saying, I can't get involved in this whole thing. Well, he's getting involved in the whole thing, right? Like he's going to say, I don't want to get involved in this, but he is like running the show. And I think later we're going to find out this is because he doesn't want to hand his job over to somebody that just can't do it.
Well, and Somerset is that compulsive mentality where if he opens it, he has to close it.
Yeah.
Right? As he said, I have cases that aren't solved, but they were exhausted to the point that there are no other leads to follow. There is no other path to take. And to him, that's the ending of a case. You may close a case as open, but it's the idea that it's only open because there are no other leads to exhaust. And his mentality is, if you're going to put me on this, I can't close it in 7 days. Why am I doing it? But then he sees Mills and goes, do I have a choice here? No. Not only that, but the plastic shavings they find in the stomach of the extremely large gentleman, that is John Doe's like calling card to the idea that you not only need to be awesome at your job, but you need to fit in pieces that are counting on other people to even give you. If the medical examiner had done a shoddy job of going through the contents of this guy's stomach, they wouldn't ever have found these, much less had Somerset go back there and figure out that they were the scrapings from the linoleum on the floor when they moved the refrigerator in the first place. I mean, that is such a fucking reach, and it's a beautiful thing. And of course, it's only Somerset that looks down at the ground and sees these little scrapings and says, that's about the size of the shit I got in this jar. I mean, it's fucking genius, dude. It's just genius. And then, of course, he says, well, what would make these? Right? Because there's no speaking whatsoever, but you see the little mouse on the wheel running. And he moves the fridge, and it's like, Ba-ba, the lights are on. Hey, here we go. We got us a serial killer because no one else would write it. And of course, he smears it in grease. So it's like the added, it's not like you put a crayon or a magic marker, you know what I mean? This guy likes his work. He's good at what he does and he likes his work.
Mm-hmm.
And Somerset sees it a fucking mile away. And even before they're, because cops, especially in management, never want to hear the S word, right? I never want to hear about a serial killer or serial rapist or serial anything, because that means he's doing things to an nth degree. It's not a one and done. It's a chain of events.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. All right. So next we get this great scene where David is aimlessly pining over crime scene pictures, getting nowhere. He's pulling his hair out. He's in the office. He fucking knows that he is fucking in over his head. But we get Somerset again thinking outside the box. Where is he? He's at the library, a place he obviously visits regularly. I mean, this now would be like, a cop that just, surfs the internet and is just getting all the information he can. But, it's 1995. He's in the library. He pulls some books. And what does he do? He does David's job for him. And then he fucking seals it up and he gives it to him. I fucking hate David. He's such a fucking bum. I love the character and I love it, but he's just such a bum. He's just such a shitty detective. He really is.
One thing to just jump in real quick. You got to remember, you're not dealing with equals here. This is not a comparative. This is the young bull and the old bull. 34 years on the job is 10 college degrees. It's not just a PhD. You are the professor. You wrote the fucking book. You know what I mean? And Mills is he's hard up pressed to even be the student because he doesn't learn, right? He's a pighead and he thinks he knows shit. He doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. So he's got this problem. Once Somerset puts him on the case, Mills does try because he's got heart and he wants to bring this to conclusion, but more so for the idea that he wants his own name to be made, glorified. He wants people to respect David Mills.
But Tony, like you said, it takes you have to earn that respect as a detective. You don't and and you're just so right, man. It's like Somerset is just so seasoned. He's seen it all. He's thinking 9 moves ahead of Mills. He's playing Mills is playing fucking tiddlywinks and fucking Somerset is like
3D
Bobby
chess.
Fischer. Yeah, he's Bobby Fischer. the best that ever played. Mickey.
I really love that scene for a couple of reasons. I mean, I love that clearly this is a man of, he goes there often. He knows all the guys there. It's kind of like his own little haven. I do like, as he's researching, I love the foreshadowing that's in the book. I don't know if you remember the scene with the drawing of the person holding up the head, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, their own head. That's the best part.
And then I think it says a lot about each detective. If you look at them when they're working on the cases, Somerset goes to the library where it's calm and it's cool, and Mills is home watching basketball, shit everywhere. Yeah, you can totally if you had any doubt that they were complete opposites, that scene I think is really, really, really telling. The calm library, the basketball game. So again, I love the way that he through this whole movie, he's consistently showing you how different they are, but they're actually starting to work. They end up starting to work well together, I think.
Yeah, no, you've hit the nail on the head. Somerset is a homicide detective. Mills is a cop with a detective's fucking ranking. Not that saying, cops aren't, good at what they do, but they're not homicide detectives. There's a difference. He has a lot to learn and he's too prideful to do it.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the movie anyway, I mean, we'll discuss whether he actually ever starts like shutting the fuck up and like learning some lessons. I'm not sure that ever happens. I do just want to touch on this final scene where David's wife calls and wants to have Somerset come over for dinner. I thought this was pretty cool because it shows that she knows that her husband's in over his head, and she knows that he needs to connect with this man if he has any chance of succeeding in his new job. And I thought it was really smart. They don't really explain, Fincher never really explains like how she knows Somerset or how she knows that he is like the Mr. Miyagi to David's Daniel's son. That's from a movie called Karate Kid, Mickey.
Karate.
But I thought that was great. And then we get this quick scene where the subway goes over and we get some great acting from all of them with this belly laughing. And it was some nice comedy relief that I really needed right now in the movie. It's right about the middle point and just really great.
Yeah. You can see Somerset's demeanor with her completely shift. He is extremely disarming. He's charming, but not cheesy. And I don't know, she's the light in the room, if you will. Even the shots of her face, Fincher loves close-ups of the face. And it's the kind of thing where it's her and then Morgan Freeman, her and then Morgan Freeman. Yeah. And it's like Mills is not even in the room, you know, and it's big, and it's great because, she used to be a teacher, similar to what cops do, because let's be real, it's control, right? Yeah. So it's the kind of thing where she knows, and they hint at it and they say, oh, David's told me a lot about you, which is a nice way of saying I know you. Yeah. But Somerset infers that it was all negative. I don't think it was all negative. I think it was the idea that Mills has told her, hey, this guy's like a minor league genius and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Yep. You know what I mean? And I'm in way over my head.
You make a good point. I think that's probably, it wasn't explained, but I think that's probably what Fincher was leaning towards. So I'll accept that as an answer.
Mills and Somerset realize one painting in the lawyer's office is hanging upside down. They send for the lab techs where they pull prints spelling out the words, help me. When the prints come back, they point to a drug-dealing pedo. SWAT and the detectives rush to the last known address thinking he's the perp. However, they find a mostly dead man tied to a bed, missing his hand with the word sloth written on the wall above. He's unable to speak to them, and it seems to be a dead end, pun fully intended. That night, Somerset receives a call from Tracy asking to meet her. Later, Tracy confides in him that she is pregnant. This might be one of the most memorable scenes in the movie, the little trees hanging in all the rooms. And everyone who's ever seen this movie ever remembers the little trees, because it's like, at first you're like, what is going on? Why are all those little car fresheners there? And then you realize why, and it's fucking horrific.
It's awesome.
Also a moment to appreciate the special effect work done by Rob Bottin. Amazing special effects artist. He worked on projects like The Thing, The Howling, Legend, Total Recall. He did all these dead body effects. They are haunting, they are memorable, and they look pretty realistic to me, so I'm down.
Dude, the fat guy, amazing. Mm-hmm. This fucking skinny, starved guy, one of the great, this is on the level of fucking The Thing. This is body horror at its finest. I was blown away by the way this thing looked.
Even the jump scare with the cops, that reaction is like they had not been told that this guy was going to move, because it's so real for them. They just about fucking shoot the dude. You know what I mean? They are absolutely taken aback.
Yeah, the jump scare is amazing because you just assume this guy is dead. Mm-hmm. So next we get this scene in the attorney's office. And again, we're going to see David frustrated. He can't find an obvious answer. So he quits. I quit. I don't know what happened. It's not obvious. And fucking Somerset's like, shut the fuck up, man. I'm working over here, okay? Like, just sit there, eat your little bag of fucking Frito-Lays, and I'll solve the case, okay? Don't worry about it. Instead of David watching him and learning, that was one of the frustrating things about this movie to me, was I really kind of wanted to see that arc, that Karate Kid arc. I wanted to have that moment where he showed me he learned the blocks and the kicks and the punches. But again, I don't know if we ever get that. And it's a double-edged sword, because if that subplot was played up too much, I get it. It would take away from this great thriller. It isn't a buddy cop movie. It isn't the Karate Kid. So I get it. But it would have been nice to see this kid show Somerset a little fucking respect. So at this point, like I said earlier, I started getting the impression that Somerset was helping David with the case for a couple of reasons. One, because like Tony said, he has to finish everything he starts. He's a fucking perfectionist. He wants to get this guy. And it's a challenge between both of them. You can feel they're playing cat and mouse. And honestly, Somerset's more clever than John Doe thinks he's going to be, because as you see, he catches up with John Doe, where John Doe had it planned out to where this thing would play out right to the end. But, he rushes the game a little bit. Had this just been David against John Doe, this is a lion playing with a mouse. Like, it's not even fun for this guy at that point, And, that's it. We get the 7 days, and it's great. We get these great subplots, and I'm just loving it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't kind of go any farther than that. Mills hasn't quite learned in his progression that you need to shut up sometimes and just let the master do his thing.
The thing is, Tony, throughout this entire movie, there's so many scenes where you think, okay, he's going to listen now. Like, but like when, he kicks the door in and Somerset's saying, if you kick that fucking door in, this guy's going to walk. We need a warrant. We can't do this. But then we do see a clever little move from Mills when he pays the junkie to lie. So he's saying, I mean, we are seeing that he is not completely clueless. Like he has worked the streets to have some stuff like that up his sleeve.
Mills's biggest problem is that he wants to be respected for who he is rather than paying respect to others for what they provide. It's like, dude, you're not the center of the fucking universe. This is the classic no I in team. When you're a cop, you have a group of people all working to an end. I don't care if it's a coroner. I don't care if it's the evidence tech. I don't care if it's the detectives or the patrol guys. They're all trying to do the same thing. Fucking work together so that you can get the job done. Don't worry about your own personal, ideations for glory.
Tony, it wasn't completely explained though which one of them came up with that idea to get the girl. Like that could have also been Somerset saying, "All right, you've already fucked up. I know how to clean this up."
I'm going to give you credit. I think that's definitely a Mills maneuver.
Okay,
Somerset doesn't round corners. If it's 90-degree turn, he makes a 90-degree turn. He's not going to get out there and cheat and kind of hornswoggle shit. He is an absolute by the numbers kind of guy, because he knows that if he's going to bring a case in and he's going to present it to the district attorney, it's airtight, rock solid, T's crossed, I's dotted. It's got my name at the bottom. It's good to go.
Yeah, he Mills says to him how much of that money he got left, because it was the money that they used to bribe the FBI guy. So it was clearly his idea to take what was left of that money and make that happen.
Yeah, you're right. Good call. I missed that. Mickey.
I love the scene. I love the scene when they burst into the drug dealer's house. That was, to me, that's right up there with like the Silence of the Lambs scene where she's in the dark and she's like got the flashlight in her gun. That was such a suspenseful scene. It just reminded me so much of Silence of the Lambs, with like the music. And I mean, everybody seeing the movie thought the guy was dead. And then whenever he went, like I literally jumped out of my fucking skin at the movie theater when I saw that. And just, it's bad when you walk in and there's, 1,000 pine tree air fresheners hanging. Like you just know, like you can almost like smell it through the screen. What I mean? It's so disgusting. But it was such a well done scene. And when he throws the temper tantrum and kicks in the door, and then he's like, oh shit. And then I think you're right. He was really, really kind of like, thinking fast on his feet and paying the homeless person to lie for them. And clearly he has done this before. What I mean? So yeah, I
agree. That scene reminded me, I hear you big time on what you said, but it also reminded me of that Matrix scene where the cops come in and bust in on Trinity in that opening scene. It's very, very similar.
Even the way Fincher portrays this apartment, it has got to be the biggest shithole apartment in the whole world. They go through room and then another room and another room and another room, and they're clearing and they're checking in the bathroom, and then they get into the room with all the tree fresheners, and then they find this guy in the bed. And it's like, Jesus, you drew this out. And everybody's like, there's nothing here. And holy shit, there's this guy. So he does a great job. Usually if you think of tenement apartment with a, drug dealing pedophile, it's not the lap of luxury. This place is massive and it's all just shades of gray. It's not, there's nothing. There's no art. There's no furniture. There's no anything. It's just this bed and this person, and that's it.
For me, anyway, this is when you realize when they're going through the pictures and you see that it's been every day for 365 days. Like, this is when you realize, oh my God, whoever is doing this is extremely, extremely detailed and extremely fucking twisted. And they are in it to win it. Like, they're not screwing around. They are hard fucking core. You know what I mean? Just that was, I think, besides Lust, I think that was the most disturbing of the sins for me.
Scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, so on the Thursday stamp, they give us the suspect, right? And I knew it was going to be a misdirection. I did, and I actually said, um, I have a feeling that our suspect is going to be missing a hand, and we find out that it was. So it was telegraphed pretty hard. I mean, I had never seen it, and I wrote it right in my notes. I'm like, the real guy's going to be missing a hand, which doesn't turn out being the real guy, but I knew that's where the crumbs were leading us to. On this drive, we get a little backstory on David and Somerset's history as far as their use of deadly force, which I thought was important. We learned that Somerset's never fired his weapon, and we learned that David has. So these are two different cops. They have, one is more muscle and leads with his gun and his attitude, and one is more a thinker. He doesn't lean on his gun, and I thought it was really great. I really did. And then you guys are talking about the scene breaking in. John C. McGinley leading the raid into the fucking house. It's so fucking good.
Sorry, it's the idea too that Fincher does such a good job of setting tension. It's like spring weight. You know what I mean? Because even to the point where they show the outside shot as they enter this, I think it was a Chinese market, and it's a doorway above it on like the third floor or something. So they're in the hallway, and it's it's not quite how do we say it? It's not disorganized, but it's not super organized because it's dark and dank.
It's chaotic.
Right. Chaotic is probably a better word, but it's the idea that they have a plan, right? SWAT's going to hit the door. They're going to go in there. They're going to find the guy, blah, 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 blah. They got all their gear and their flashlights and their lasers and whatever. And when they're going through the apartment, it's like I don't know, how would you say it? A labyrinth, you know what I mean? Because it's not just 3 rooms and a bathroom. It's a huge place. It's big, and they brought like 8 guys, and they're constantly breaking off. And although the scene's only about 45 or 50 seconds, that's like forever to find this guy. You know what I mean? And that tension is building the whole time. So he does a really good job of playing with that. He did it in the game as well when he does some of the stuff that happened in the game. That's similar kind of effects, similar light and shadow use. I mean, so good in the craft.
I like the way you described it as a labyrinth. That apartment did seem to go on forever and have so many nooks and crannies. It was so fun. It was such a fun scene. So finally in this section, Tracy reaches out to Somerset to confide in him. Now, I thought this was kind of one of the weirder parts of the movie. Somerset is taking a chance by taking the phone call and meeting her in private behind the back of her detective husband. If they got caught, this would be a huge problem for David, even though there's nothing going on. First of all, it would look like there was something going on. And second of all, David's just proud, and he just would not be down for this fucking phone call. And it would jeopardize the case. Then she tells him she's pregnant, and Somerset is as surprised as I am that she doesn't have a friend or a family member to call and talk to. It's really awkward and does not have a real world feel to me. This just doesn't happen. It's a nice scene that gives us some more of Somerset's backstory, and it fills out his character, and I really like it a lot. But I was hoping there was going to be a reason for this at the end of the day, like more than meets the eye, because it just didn't make sense that she'd be calling him. She's too young. She's got to have a mother, a sister, a best friend. Like there's somebody else she's confiding in about being pregnant and this stuff. Why would it be her husband's fucking partner
that she just met?
It just really didn't make sense to me. It was the first chink in the armor for me.
I think, you have to have a little suspension of reality kind of here, because it's to the writer's point. Like he did make that move. And I think it's the idea that the city is kind of isolation for her. You know what I mean?
They have phones.
Right. She's quit her job. She's moved there because of Mills's career. She's a dedicated wife, but the idea that she would have no one else is a real stretch. There's no
it feels weird.
In such a tight script, why add it?
Well, and the other thing is, I think it's the idea that, Somerset is such a great disarming character when he meets her. You definitely feel a connection between them,
father figure
in a totally platonic way, right?
Yeah,
Right.
father figure.
Even to the point where, you know, she makes the point about I can't get used to guns. And he looks at her and goes, same here.
Yeah.
And you're just
Yeah.
like, and then that was so heartfelt. It was so straightforward. It wasn't just patronizing or just him saying something to quell her kind of angst or whatever.
Tony, it's not a problem for me. It's not a problem for me. I only bring it up because the script was so tight. I couldn't find another hole in the entire script where I was like, no, that doesn't make sense. So it stood out.
I think it's the idea too that we want the audience to understand that Tracy is good, right? So that it's even more shocking when we get to the end.
Exactly. No, I get it. All right, Delyn, keep it moving.
The detectives use library records to track people that have checked out books with mentions of the 7 deadly sins. They identify a man that's named John Doe that feels like he might be a lead, so they go to his apartment. However, when Doe sees him at the door, he opens fire and runs. A shaky cam chase ensues through several buildings, across the street, and into an alley. Doe gets the upper hand and strikes Mills with a tire iron, then holds his gun to his head. But instead of killing him, he runs off. They return to the apartment afterwards and find hundreds of notebooks revealing Doe's psychopathy, as well as a clue to another murder. Detectives arrive too late to stop a man forced by Doe at gunpoint to kill a prostitute representing lust. The following day, they attend the scene of the 5th victim, a model whose face has been mutilated by Doe. She was given the option to call for help and live disfigured, or commit suicide by taking pills. She chose the latter option, and this represents pride. In the apartment, they reveal that the guy with the camera at one of the death scenes was Doe. So this reminds me that Doe is actually kind of omnipresent in this movie, despite the fact that we don't realize it until the last act. He's also in the scene at Wild Bill's, standing under an umbrella in the rain behind Somerset and Mills. And this has been confirmed by the movie makers that this was intended to be Doe watching them as they're at Wild Bill's. There's also a mention that there's a man that looks very much like Kevin Spacey entering the diner when Somerset and Tracy are there talking. And maybe that's how he found out that Tracy was pregnant. Or possibly he was going through their trash. But they did not confirm that that was actually him. So I'm not sure if it's him or not. But he's been right behind them a good deal of the way. And them catching up to him at his apartment with the library records was unexpected for him. And it sets him back.
Yeah, no, totally. You know, it was funny because in this scene in the police station, David says just because he has a library card doesn't make him Yoda. And this fucking hit me how different things were in 1995. Me and Delyn were discussing this in the living room today. Like, it was just so different the way police work was done, the way everything was done. And it was 30 years ago, but I just, you know, I'm at that age like you guys are where I remember pre-internet, pre-cell phones in my adult life. So I lived it like it was reality. And I also am living this reality post cell phones, post internet. And it is two completely different worlds. It's like Doctor Who. It's like getting out of a fucking, you know, and walking out into
the
this
TARDIS,
like, yeah, it's really amazing. And for people too young to remember, you know, 1995 and back, it's like it was a different world before Google, you know.
Even watching the film and seeing payphones.
Yeah.
I mean, try and find a payphone.
Right?
Forget about it.
No. The scene where the cop brings Mills the Cliff Notes, you know what I mean?
By the way, that is fucking genius because that is what every cop does, right? It's Dante Alighieri is not fun to read.
No.
Well, but I mean, now you know that he would have just Googled it.
Right. Well, and you know the deal. When you have to figure out something, you find a way around the mountain.
Right.
That's what Mills does. Genius cop work, right? You want to give him a little detective credit. He found a way around. It ain't good, but does it get the job done? Sure. The problem is this. He's not writing a fucking book report. He's looking for John Doe. So the Cliff Notes ain't going to cut it. But they give him enough cred to say, yeah, I read it. Yeah, I'm paying attention, Somerset. Look what I'm doing. So, and I love the fact he doesn't do it himself. He sends a patrolman out to do it for him and then goes, good work, officer. Like it's, you know,
Yeah.
something
I
funny.
really thought it was amazing to look back and that it was like the dot matrix printer
Oh, yeah.
and the Dewey Decimal System and like
Yeah, they still
the,
had a library card
yeah.
grouping there for looking books up. And
then also when they were doing the fingerprinting, the guy said, this might take hours for this thing to get a hit. Like, let's just move on with our lives for now, come back. And it's like, I know it still isn't like instantaneous, but you better believe that it moves a lot faster today. If you throw in a pair of prints, you're going to you're going to get something back within an hour or two at the very least.
AI has it done in like 10 seconds now. It's like, brrr, here's your guy. But you talk about how archaic this. I mean, Somerset actually talks about the FBI flagging certain books and people who take them out of the library to make a people of interest list. Think about that. Think about that.
Yeah.
That's like cavemen making fire with sticks compared to now. That's fucking insane. So they get a lead and go to visit John Doe. I love this scene because after they're shot at, this is where David takes the lead in the pursuit. So he is more physical. Like I said earlier, when we get their backstory, he's the more physical cop. He's more comfortable firing his weapon. I love the scene because it gives David something to do in this fucking movie finally, right? And it also gives this movie some much needed action. It's a great whodunit. It's a great slow burn thriller horror, but it didn't have any action, and we get it here. And we get that frantic camera work. And I just thought it was like that little moment of comedy relief where we get them laughing at the subway coming through. It was perfectly timed in the pacing of the movie to just keep me alive. Like, hey, wake up. We're going to keep going with this.
Agreed. Can we talk about how disturbing that scene was in the porn shop?
Oh my God. I skipped over it in my write-up because it's so disturbing to me. I just can't even.
I had nightmares the first time I saw that.
Yeah, it's fucking horrific. And I'm so glad that they don't really show her. Like
Oh,
they just
God.
they take
Yeah.
they take the sheet off. The guys are like in her way and they put the sheet back on. I did not want to see. I'm good.
You know what?
I'm
It was
good.
bad enough that they showed the murder weapon twice.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh God, I had nightmares about that.
it was quick, though. I will give Fincher a little credit. They don't.
Not quick enough.
And the funny part too is I agree with you. You notice the John Doe sighting with the umbrella in the back because he knows that the receipt for the item was in the apartment.
Yes.
So it's almost like he's now surveilling them because he knows that's where they're going next.
Yes.
Next, we get a look inside John Doe's apartment, and this is a perfect mix of mystery, thriller, and horror. This movie really fucking dances the line of all three of those, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's such a cool like mix of three different genres that just come together in this tasty little drink. Absolutely great score, Dylan. Like you said, I don't know who did the score for this movie, but it's fucking amazing. And the revelation that John Doe was the photographer that David chased off when he sees the picture of himself.
Oh my God.
Oh,
So
it's
cool.
so fucking good. Followed by this complimentary phone call from John Doe. This was sucking me in like a black hole. I was like, I just was mopping this up like a biscuit and gravy. I was loving this. And then you've got fucking Somerset with this little handheld recorder holding it up to the phone. Like this is the tech. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. It was fucking great go. This was absolute magic. It's Saturday and the movie takes this dark, perverted twist, like Dylan was saying, starting at the bondage store with the Polaroids. Oh my God. Leading to John killing the prostitute with the strap-on knife dildo
God.
contraption while at gunpoint, right? Like this is all such a dark, weird concept. Like he had the gun against the back of my throat while I was fucking the prostitute with a knife dildo. I'm like, this is fucking a fever dream. It's so crazy. So it's so fucking dark. And it made me think, what would I have done in this situation? And I like to believe I would have attacked him with my knife penis thing and taken my chances with being shot, right? Like I'd have tried to bum rush him. No pun intended.
How about this, kids? Let's try. Let's try not to frequent sex clubs and spend our free time with ladies of the evening. What do you say, huh?
Tony, what are you doing in that situation? You're at gunpoint.
Yeah,
These
how
are your
about this? As a
choices.
smart man once said, don't go downtown after midnight, stupid. Don't put yourself in a situation where this can occur to you.
Seriously.
I
Seriously.
mean, it is what it is. My favorite too is that the shooting of that scene, you go down those stairs for like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The cops, and it's like a left and a right and a turn. You go downstairs and you turn and more downstairs. And then you get to the guy at the window because, of course, you need to have organization when you're meeting, hookers in a sub basement in the middle of
Sub.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like you're going to the 9th level of hell. This is Dante personified here. And then it's super loud. And immediately he's like, can you make that stop? You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't say shut off the fucking music. He goes, can you make that stop? And they're like, we're working on it. Kind of like they can't even figure out where the music's coming from. That's how good these guys are. But
this reminded me of 8mm, like on steroids.
Yeah, it's very similar. Even the
Yes.
character that they picked for the actor that does the kind of retelling of the story, he looks like he's been rode hard, put away wet, and is still horribly shaken. You know what I mean? He's in a
He always
sheet.
plays that guy that
Yes, he
like
does.
gets fucked up
Yes, he
somehow.
does. I don't know his name. I wanted to look him up.
He was
But
in one of the
between him-
Alien movies, and the same thing. Like he got totally jacked in that movie too.
Yeah, he's also in Saving Private Ryan. He flies a glider and crashes, and he retells the story, and it's the exact same thing.
Yeah, also the man from the little booth.
Yeah, tell me
is,
his name, Delynn.
Michael Massey. And
He's in The
he
Crow.
was in The Crow.
That shot of his face when he
Yeah.
is telling the story, you relate to this guy,
Yeah.
right? Because of course he's portrayed as evil, and then when he says, "I don't like what I do," and that, and you're just like, "Well, wait a minute, maybe he's got a point."
Yeah.
I can deal with that. He's just a human.
Yep.
So they do a great job. Fincher just he's dancing on the tightrope, man, because he plays both sides of the fence, and it's just so well done. I enjoyed the shit out of it, even though it's a horrible scene. The funny part too is the prostitute is actually the set designer on the movie. They thought she looked great enough to be a prostitute, so they gave her the credit.
That's awesome.
I was actually surprised that the switchblade throwing didn't come back with any payoff in the movie. They showed him throwing that switchblade at his dartboard a couple of different times. He was obviously a good shot with it, and it never came into play.
But Des, this isn't Lethal Weapon, right?
No, I know.
The point of this movie is not to kill people; it's to figure out what's going on.
I thought at some point that skill he had that they made a point of showing us would come into play. He'd throw that switchblade at some point and it would save the day, but it never came, which is fine. It was an obvious move. So I guess kudos for him for showing restraint and not doing it, I guess. Right. And finally it's Sunday and we get the Pride murder. Again, this made me ask myself, what would I choose if I were a young, beautiful woman? And honestly, I don't know. But the fact that I'm asking myself this question is a tribute to how engaged I was with this movie. I mean, that's a tough choice. You're a beautiful young lady. Your whole life is, modeling your looks and your nose is removed. I mean, do you want to live or die, Mikki?
I want to fucking live because I can always get surgery.
Yeah, it's still going to look like shit though.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just not that shallow. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
I mean, it's my life's dream to move to like the bog and be a swamp witch that scares children. So I'm okay with
Yes,
it. I would have
thank you.
called for help.
Thank you. Yeah.
Wow.
Tony,
Well, it's
how about
Things
you?
you can
I mean-
things you can learn here on Hey, did you ever see that movie?
Tony, what are you doing? You taking death of your
No.
nose?
You know the best part too. He doesn't just give them to her; he glues them to her hand.
It's so good.
You want to talk about a final image of this is serious? Yeah, you're calling. 99.9% of the people are calling. The point is that this is Pride. So she takes the pills. I guess as a model, not only is that your job, it's your life. So she'd rather end her life than have to be disfigured.
I honestly didn't find it hard to believe at all. I didn't think it was a stretch at all. I think there's plenty of, women out there that
I think
would
it's more so
probably-
now with social
Yes.
media.
Dude, you know what? That is such a great point. In 1995, before social media and TikTok and everybody doing selfies, like we didn't even know what a selfie was. Imagine this. In 1995, there was no such thing as a selfie.
Oh, that's not true. You could take a Polaroid picture and you had to wait for it to develop, right? That was what
And
we
then send
did.
it to all your friends?
Yeah, well, sort of. No, you put it on the refrigerator or wherever else you hung your stuff. But that's what you had to do. You had to turn the camera around and point it at you and
Well,
then click it and wait for it to develop.
Tony, if you'll remember, we actually discussed the first ever selfie ever taken in a movie was in Desperately Seeking Susan, when Susan takes the selfie of herself on the hotel room floor.
With the Polaroid, sure.
That's right. So we actually know where the first one ever was taken. There you go.
Again, great facts on, hey, have you ever seen the movie?
As Somerset and Mills return to the police station, Doe unexpectedly turns himself in, covered in the blood of an unidentified victim. Doe offers to confess to his crimes, but only on the condition that he escorts Somerset and Mills to a secret location where the victims representing envy and wrath are presumably buried. Otherwise, he will plead insanity. Somerset is wary, but Mills agrees. During the drive, Doe expresses his lack of remorse for his crimes, declaring that his victims deserve to die, and professes himself to be a martyr chosen by a higher power to shock the world out of its state of apathy. Doe also makes cryptic, threatening remarks towards Mills, who maintains his belief that Doe is simply insane. Doe's directions lead the detectives to a remote, deserted location. Minutes after their arrival, a delivery van approaches. Mills holds Doe at gunpoint while Somerset goes to intercept the driver, who says he was instructed to deliver a box to their coordinates. Somerset opens the box and, in a sudden panic, tells Mills to stay back. Doe reveals that he himself represents the sin of envy, as he envied Mills's life with Tracy, and implies that the box contains Tracy's decapitated head. He goads Mills and telling him that Tracy begged for her life and the life of her unborn child, and reacts with surprise and delight when he realizes that Mills was unaware that Tracy was pregnant. Despite Somerset's warning, an enraged Mills fulfills his own role as Wrath and shoots Doe fatally and repeatedly, completing Doe's plan. Somerset and the police captain watch as the devastated Mills is taken away. When the captain asks where he'll be, Somerset that he'll be around, implying that he is not going to retire. So one of the first things Doe says to Mills over the phone is that he admires him. And being that this was a repeat watch for me, that made my ears perk up, because admiration is envy. He repeats this several times once they have him in custody. I admire you. I look, like he keeps saying it. And I'm like, he's repeating that and it's annoying. Oh, it's because it's on purpose. To the point that I'm actually surprised that Somerset didn't put a finger on it.
Yeah.
Because Somerset is so in tune with the 7 deadly sins, and he's not picking up that Doe has repeatedly said, I admire you, directly to Mills. A little bit behind the scenes, they made a life mask of Gwyneth Paltrow and made a decapitated head. However, Brad Pitt didn't want it used. He thought the viewer's imagination was going to be more than enough to fill in the blanks. Whether this was because he was dating Gwyneth at the time and he thought it was kind of creepy or strictly for storytelling, I'm not sure. But the head got sent to a storage facility and it never saw the light of day until the movie Contagion, where she dies early on and there's a scene of her in an autopsy. So instead of making her lay on a table to do an autopsy, they use the fake head. So you get to see it if you go watch that movie.
Cool fact, by the way. Cool fact.
Yeah.
Lastly, I struggle to understand how killing Tracy is envy, because Tracy was not envious. He's killing people that are committing the crimes. So you basically killed an innocent woman. She was not envy. You're envy. He's been killing guilty people that are guilty of the sin so far. I've seen people online claim that Tracy herself is envy because she's complaining about wanting to leave the city. But I think that's kind of thin and it's a little bit of a stretch. And it deviates from Doe's actual MO. So I actually feel like this is a little bit of a hole in the plot for me.
Dude, now knowing that fact about that head existing with the effects that I saw in this movie, I can only imagine how good that would.
It literally looks exactly like her face, because I watched a video and it looks exactly like her.
I wish I could have seen that. So I just want to take you to the end of this final act, the way I saw it, like in real time. So it starts in the police station and my mind was blown away when I saw John Doe was Kevin Spacey. I had no idea that this was coming. And this one hit me like Usual Suspects. It was just like, boom, like there it is. It's Kevin Spacey. So good. You see him from the back stumbling in. You don't know who it is. And then you get that shot. And it's one of those things. He's just too big an actor to have this role. Like you just don't see it coming. And I really liked it. But here's the problem. And it's not a problem. It's not a problem. But my first thought was, did he kill David's wife? She was pregnant. That would be 2 murders in one. And it would complete the 7 murders, right? Because there were 5, he had to kill 2. So that was the first thing that popped into my mind. But I'd have to wait to see if I was right. At this point, I'd written, if that's not the twist, spoiler alert, it's going to be my alternate ending. I had so much fun working this case with Mills and Summers. I thought we did a great job. Next, we get the drive to the final victim. We get this great Kevin Spacey performance in the backseat of the car. It's so satisfying. Oh, I just loved it. The pacing of the movie is slow and melodic as this movie was. It never got too slow for me to enjoy. I never felt like it dragged. It was a 2-hour movie. It was paced masterfully for what I was being served. I'm going crazy trying to figure out the twist. Will it be David's wife, an unborn child, murdered by this guy to make the final 2 kills to complete the 7? Will David be given a choice to save his baby and his wife? He has to give his own life and maybe, I don't know. But these are what's going through my mind at this moment. And when it's all said and done and I see the final conclusion, I was pretty close to solving the case. I was pretty close. I didn't have it spot on, but I was pretty happy with how close I got it. Mikki, what did you think of the end of the movie?
I loved it. I did not see it coming. As they're talking in the car, I'm just like, Mills is just, again, cocky, pushing at him, poking at him. He has no fucking idea what he's in the store for. And then when they get out there and, the car comes and he's talking to John Doe. First of all, I want to backtrack. Kevin Spacey walking into that police station was creepy in itself. But when he's going, detective, he's like, look at me. Look at me.
So good.
That was so amazing. They gave me goosebumps the first time I saw it. And then when they're out in the power line field there, and he's telling him, he's like, oh, your wife is so pretty and blah, blah, blah. And then you can kind of see Mills is like, wait a minute, what's happening here? I love how it all went down. My only thing is, I was telling Tony this the other night, you didn't really need it, but I wish maybe they had shown one blonde hair sticking out of the box or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I wish they had done differently.
Dylan, you really fucking made a point that stood out to me. On that drive to the desert and all this, fucking John Doe is really laying it on thick to Mills, laying it on thick to where, I mean, at this point, if I'm fucking Somerset, I'm like, I think we should pull over and maybe call your wife. What do you think? You think we should call your wife, see if she's okay? Because I think maybe we might have a problem here. He's really kind of drawing you you're going to be part of the history with me.
Yeah, as on the nose and on the job as Somerset is, for him to never pick they're in the squad room and the lawyer's saying he says he admires you, and it's they've now made him it's said 4 or 5 times. It's you're not picking up on this at all. There's 2 fucking left, wrath and envy, and he admires you. Clue in because I'm clued in.
Yeah, no, like I said, they're driving there. He's like, me and you, Mills, we're gonna make history. When they think about me, they're gonna think about you. It's gonna be me and you. It's if I'm Somerset, I'm like, sucks to be you. Tony, what'd you think of the end of the movie?
I think it's probably one of the best movie endings in modern filmmaking. So I liked it.
Yeah.
One thing I like too is that both the writer and the director fought very hard with the studio to keep this ending, because apparently it panned with the test audience, and Walker, the writer, wrote 12 or 13 different endings because the studio was demanding something more upbeat. You know what I mean? And it was even, I guess, the one that they had settled on before they went back to the original ending, which I guess was fought for by some of the actors as well, was Mills is killed by Doe, who is Envy, and then Doe is shot dead by Somerset, and you see a pregnant Tracy leaving the city because now she has no reason to stay there. But that is the classic, ties up with a bow nicely. Mills is dead instead of life ruined. Doe is dead. Somerset goes back to work, and it's too clean, right?
Yeah.
This is a gritty, dirty, nasty, hard movie. We're going to have a gritty, dirty, nasty, hard ending.
I love this ending.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's awesome, even to the way that it's done, because it's just Morgan Freeman doing great Morgan Freeman shit. You know, he gets the driver. He's got to treat him as a suspect because he has no idea what's going on. And then when he opens the box, because he's thinking, and he's like, what do I do? You know, could be a bomb, could be a this, could be a that. And he's like, no, this guy's not a bomber. This is personal, right? So he opens the box and he immediately knows what's going to happen, right? Because he's, like you said, Dylan, he's now put it all together.
Yeah.
This is envy. This is bad. And he's got to get to Mills because he doesn't want to see this kid fuck it all up.
Yeah, he says John Doe has the upper hand.
Yep. And he absolutely is right, because he
Mhm.
knows that Mills's reaction is just like the door, where he told him what not to do and he went and fucking did it anyway.
Exactly.
Because Mills is kind of a man-child. He's going to cap him, right? He's going to fulfill the prophecy.
I mean, I can't blame him.
He's right.
I can't blame him.
And, you know, again, like 90% of America, that was the answer, right? This fucking guy's got to go.
But I'm not killing him. Like I said to Delin, if I'm him, the first few shots are going like in the groin, in the fucking shin,
Well,
maybe
what's
one in the
difference?
collarbone.
He drops the whole magazine on him, so it's 6 to 1 if it doesn't the other.
A little late though. I would want to see the guy suffer a little bit.
Well, you're an evil man, Des. What can we say?
I know. I think honestly,
I know. So proud.
I honestly think that we should have seen the head in the box. I mean, yeah, I want that. That's the ending that just people are like, holy fuck. Did you see that
I almost
ending?
love the subtlety of it, because you can see Freeman's face change, and the way, you know, this is not a man that runs, he's running. This is not a man that says shit like John Doe has the upper hand, because he doesn't believe that, but he knows at this point, I'm going to do everything I can to try to keep David off the train tracks, because he's flirting with disaster here.
Everything just looks so good coming up to that. I know it was a great looking mask. I know it was a great looking head. I wanted to see it.
Okay. Just for your morbid curiosity. I got you.
Yes. I want to see that head.
Nice.
All right. I think we did it. I think we broke this fucker down.
Recast his baby. If you can. I think it's a really tough film to recast.
Yeah, well, my first recast was I was going to take the captain out with the drill sergeant from Stripes, because they're the same guy. But,
Sergeant Holka.
Yeah, Sergeant Holka. I was going to go
the
Sergeant
big
Holka,
toe.
but that's not where I went. So I would replace Morgan Freeman with Lawrence Fishburne. I think it works. I
Okay.
think it works.
Sure.
Mickey, what do you got?
I would recast Gwyneth Paltrow with Rachel McAdams, because I love Rachel McAdams and I thought she would do really well in this.
Where do we know her from?
The Notebook,
Wasn't
Wedding
she
Crashers.
in Wedding Crashers, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And my other recast would be, I would maybe take out Brad Pitt, and you know what I'm going to say, I would put Tom Hardy in.
Because that's her answer for everything.
Love me some Tom.
It's either that or Gerald Butler.
Gerald Butler.
He's a
I mean,
Gerald
I'm
Butler
surprised
fan.
that Des didn't put Frank Stallone in.
So actually, I think I could find a place for Frank.
Jackie.
Oh, guitar player. You never can trust a guitar player. Tony,
my
what are you doing?
I had to be serious. I couldn't change Somerset for the love or the money. I think it also has to be a statesman. I think they looked at Al Pacino for the role and he turned it down, and they looked at
He would have been good.
Yeah.
yeah, but you know Pacino, he's a little too off the rails. He's never straight-laced character. Michael Corleone was probably the only straight-laced character the guy ever played in his whole career. But anyway, they also looked at Gene Hackman, who I think would have been great. Well, he's kind of that guy in Enemy of the State, but neither here nor there. The only person I replaced was Mills, because although I liked Brad Pitt in this role, I think Edward Norton, who is a consummately awesome actor, would have done a better job.
Okay,
because he is just so multifaceted.
Yeah, that would be a great
Love him.
recast. Yeah, that would be a great recast. Dylan.
So I recast Tracy with Anya Taylor-Joy. You would know her from Queen's Gambit, One Night in Soho,
Yeah.
The Witch, or The Menu.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
I like it. All right, let's do some alternate endings and we will score this thing and pack her up.
As if we'd end the movie like that. Yeah.
Let's do the Scooby-Doo ending.
Good call.
Dylan, what do you got? You got an alternate ending?
I do. So I went with a version that's kind of along the first version that they wrote. I'm going to mess it up a little bit, though. So as Somerset is running towards Mills, yelling for him to put the gun down, instead of pleading with him, he pulls out his switchblade from his pocket and he throws it at Mills's hand, wounding him, so he drops the gun. He steals the chance for the perfect ending for Doe, and he saves Mills from himself. They realize after that the head is not Tracy, it's just a lookalike, intended to spur Mills into action. And Doe is taken away to a life in prison where he gets the 7 deadly sins visited upon him from his cellmate, Bubba.
Nice.
Love it.
Nice.
That's
Very
actually
well
the
done.
end to The Warriors on the beach, where Swan pulls the switchblade out of his belt and slicks it in the hand of the little weasel guy with the gun, making him
good.
drop the gun. So exact same ending. Okay, let me give you my ending. David Mills is allowed to serve his sentence in an insane asylum due to the circumstances of his case. He has severe PTSD and rage issues. After 10 years of obsession and anger over the murder of his wife and child, he is released. With the internet now a thing and information being available at the touch of a button, David goes on a killing spree targeting ex-cons that serve time for domestic manslaughter against women, always leaving his tag at the scene in his victim's blood. He is known as Jane Doe.
Jane Doe.
Okay, that's absolutely the worst ending I've ever heard. But
That's
thank you.
No.
that.
No, he writes
Lynn
Jane
wins.
Doe.
Yes, because he's basically like fighting for the women. So he's killing these male men that
I mean, I loved it because you know what? It was a reach, bro. It was a good reach, but
I like.
I really believe that nothing personal. I think that the ending in this film, as I stated earlier, was one of the better cinematography endings ever, other than maybe Rosebud from Citizen Kane, because no one's figured that one out ever. But I don't think I'd mess with it. I think that Walker did such a great job. Even the different screenplays that he came up with when he was demanded to change it, they all knew it was perfect the way it is. Don't mess with it.
Let's do the final thoughts and rewind score for fucking Mickey fucking blows a gasket. He's got a pizza to pick up.
Jesus Christ.
Okay,
Nice
here we go.
priorities, Mick.
Hey,
Doing a show here.
Here we go. So for me, final thoughts. This was an exceptionally good movie without a hole to be found, maybe a couple. For me, this is as good as it gets in this genre of movie. And for those reasons, I am giving it a 4.76. It was almost perfect, if not for the weird meeting where she reveals she's pregnant to the to Somerset. And for Somerset not catching on that John Doe had targeted his partner on the way out to the desert. So those are the reasons it didn't get a perfect score, but it was pretty fucking close. Mickey.
I love this movie. Again, I thought it was really well done. So ahead of its time. Just really cutting edge on so many levels. And I thought everybody did a really great job in the film. I am going to give it a 4.95.
I was so close. I wanted to go that high. Tony.
I concur with the rest of the group. I think that it's held up so well. It is extremely well shot. It's great script writing. It's great direction. It's great photography. It's great soundtrack. There's nothing this movie lacks. It's excellent acting. It's got a plot twist on a plot twist on a plot twist. It's one of my favorite films. I go with a 4.95 as well.
Oh, I should have gone 4.95. To Lynn.
So I agree with you about the couple of little plot holes. And I also am a little bit of a stickler about the plot hole with Tracy being a victim when she actually was an innocent person. So that he blows his own MO at the end, which is like, it almost feels like it's a reach to make it work, right?
Right. Because it's weird that he is envy.
Exactly. And it's like, then you should be the one that died, not her. So
point.
I have a little bit of a problem with that. But
well, he does die. It's just weird the way it works.
But it's weird. It's weird. And he wasn't killing innocent people. He was killing people that were committing sins. So to kill this innocent woman is like, that makes no sense to me because he's going against his own MO. But
he is crazy.
He is crazy. And it's a small quibble. It's small. It's not a big deal. I'm going to give it a 4.8.
Nice. All right, add them up and let's see where this sucker lands on the list.
It is at 4.865, and that lands it at number
I'll buy if
6.
it's number 7. Oh,
Ooh.
can you imagine if it was number
what
7?
do we have to
7
do?
for
What do we have
7,
to do?
yes.
What do we have to do? We can edit it. What do I have to do to get it to 7?
All right, I'll give it a 490.
Hold on.
No, we need to go a little
4.6.
higher.
So
Oh,
we would have
shit.
it would have to be less to be because it's number 6.
Okay,
All right,
lower my
so what if-
score a half a point.
Yeah, we got to get it number 7.
Okay.
You went 4.80.
So let me do 4.7
Okay.
There you
divided
go.
by 4. It's 4.84. That makes it number 7.
Number 7, no way.
We did it.
Oh, holy shit. What are the chances?
Nice.
Oh, we're
Number
assholes.
7. And what is it above and below?
Your next is right above it, and right below it is RoboCop and The Breakfast Club.
Awesome.
Mm.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, I hope
Yeah,
you
I'm
enjoyed.
gonna leave in all of that fucking that finagling to make the 7 happen. I'm gonna leave it in because it's
Okay.
stupid.
Okay, so earlier in the show, Dylan teased what movie we will be reviewing for the Great Radio, and the movie will be Magnolia. We'll be doing that with Tony 2.0 and Mikki on our next round. Go over to
Booyah.
Vinyl Radio, where we will be doing Twisted Sisters, Stay Hungry. Until next time, I just have one question for you. Hey, did you ever see that movie? We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Like, share, subscribe.
Do-do-do-do-do.